Can we really complement an AI system, not with conscience, I'm speaking about with human consideration? Can we do that?
It depends on our very perspective of the world. What kind of, as Martin said, the possibility. What kind of future we really want to build. Because in case of AI doesn't have a conscience of its own. Technology doesn't have a conscience of its own. Nature of technology is predicated upon the nature of its programming. So every ethical perspective, every principle that its programmer has, it becomes the principle and the characteristic of that AI or that technology. So which means that all the programmers, all the people that are involved in this whole field, they have to come together because no one person can see the whole picture. It is impossible. So we need discussion. We will have differences. Having differences doesn't mean hating one another. Having differences means that we have the scope for progress. And in that discussion, we will find a global measure for all the ethical side that we will put inside the technology, put inside AI. So it is a universal process. It is a united process, not just one programmer or one company. And it comes down to the responsibility. So the more we feel responsible for our world, the more we will try to do.
Let me bring you one example. It's quite well known.
Yeah.
And it's Microsoft. They've got this really famous Show Ice chat agent that works really well in China. In fact, it has over 500 million users. And people actually think it's real because it remembers, like for example, if you had a wedding in the family or you got grades last year, it remembers. They took that same technology and they've tried to put it in the US and worldwide, and it failed, right? Because it had the ability to interact and with others, but it fed all of that information that got fed, corrupted it. So, you know, these are really interesting kinds of questions at times we live in, right? Of AI, where really it's almost intelligent in a way, right?
We have an example here, and I have to go back to Sophia. I still live in a world where I believe in a digital divide, but you're not. You don't.
To understand the digital divide, we need to take a look at electricity. Internet is a new electricity. Some time ago, the world was divided on the basis of electricity. Some people had electricity, others did not. And who had, they had access to so much power, so much potential. And the others were just malnourished in every aspect of life. Likewise, with the internet, it is a democratization of information. So right now, the whole world is connected through this digital world. And with that, now companies like Stephen said, they've given an example of some smartphones as an extension of our life. So companies are making smartphones affordable for these developing parts of the world and making them, now they have connection through internet. So through that they have information. So digital divide is no longer the problem. The issue is responsible usage of that information. Because with the rise of digital trends, with the rise of huge information, it's an overload of information. lack of information is harmful, but also overload of information is even more harmful. So today we have that. So it depends. The question moves away from digital divide, and the focus should be on an ethical, healthy use of information, the access of information that we have at an individual level.
Plus the different kinds and levels of design that you're involved with.
Yeah, there is an initiative called the AI for Good Global Summit. In fact, AI for Good now is a global meme adopted by governments, industry, and academia. But was really founded in 2017 when the first UNITU hosted AI for Good Global Summit for the first time, bringing together 37 UN agencies, ACM, which is #1 in computing science, X Prize, which is the #1 prize organization in the world, nonprofit, governments, industry, academia, media. And in fact, this year we had an audience of over 1 billion. But it covers all of the areas that you mentioned. That is the applications of AI, specifically on the sustainable development goals like poverty, hunger, healthcare, peace, prosperity, cybersecurity, and so on. In addition to that, it allows the production and the sharing and the projects to be instantiated. In fact, we created one called Focus Group AI for Health, which is the product of the ITU and UN agency plus the World Health Organization, working on standards in healthcare. Why? There's a shortage of 22 million healthcare workers. Why? Because there's over 2 billion underserved. We're creating standards to address that issue. So again, it's for good. And it's going to grow next year with this amazing summit focused on positive solutions to make the actual world better.
Dr. Mohamed, as I said, you're like institutes that you've joined. Part of the fair game is the transfer of technology. When do you think a company or a scientific research institute would be really willing to start giving other parties, other parts of the world, to share the technology? Under what conditions?
I'm think that actually this is already happening, especially in the AI field. One of the main policies in top companies is that make research open. And the incentive behind that is really straightforward, so that people can reuse it and can improve upon it. We don't have to obscure anything. I mean, what we did is for the entire world. In Facebook, Center for AI Research, right, we've been following this motto that AI research should be open source to anyone. But I think the main issue here is that if you have, this is open, but the second part of the question, can the talented individuals from all over the globe, how can we all work together in these kind of cutting edge research or go to companies without any restriction, right? At the end of the day, what we care about is that the talents work together. And speaking from personal experience, it is not easy going from one place to another if you are from a certain country or a certain background. Many of us are fortunate to be born with a specific geographic location to be able to travel freely, but many others who are extremely talented face this issue. So it's not about the research being open source or handed over, is that how can we all overcome this issue that anyone who can make a contribution to humanity is allowed for freedom of movement anywhere where he's needed to be.
أنا بنتمي لجيل بدأ حياة العملية في أواخر الثمانينات أوائل التسعينات، وكنا دايما نتكلم في برامج تلفزيونية وعلى المستوى الصحفي، والمسؤولين يكرروا معانا كلمة الفجوة التكنولوجية، الفجوة الكبيرة اللي ممكن تكون بتفصلنا عن العالم المتقدم. ايجيبت هو عالم أعصاب وعالم معروف جاي من الهند، وبالتالي ممكن كمان يبقى عنده فكرة مدرسة. Do you have certain input that you have in mind when designing AI systems for each and every society or country?
Absolutely. So when we design a full system, you have to identify what's your target application, what's your target domain, where this will be deployed. And from that, you derive the specs. For example, if you want to put an AI system on an autonomous vehicle, right, it's going to have to detect a certain number of objects in front of it at a certain frames per rate, and it has to consume a certain amount of power because you don't want your car to be optimally loaded with batteries. That is different from if you want to put an AI system on your wearable, right? That's a very slow system, and it only deals with heartbeats, for example. So that's looking at very low data cycle. Now, taking this figure, if you're going to apply a system for a government, right? What are the government needs? What are the major challenges that they face that they need AI to help them resolve? And whether or not a dedicated system is needed in that case, or I can reuse an existing general purpose platform for it. So all of these are necessary inputs into developing an AI system.
Can we still speak about the issue of transparency? Because this is an issue that is not only controversial in the United States, it's also controversial here in Egypt, it's controversial in Asia, in Africa, everywhere. Speaking about transparency, every AI system will perform according to the influence of the people, the humans, with all the prejudices when they work on their data entry. How can we maintain this transparency issue to make sure we don't limit the biased data? Yes.
You know, it's a very good question in terms of transparency. In fact, it's really a whole bunch of questions. It's about accountability, responsibility, transparency, fairness, equity, explainability, interpretability, which means interpreting decisions and how they're made, including things also like contestability. Just a decision is made by an AI system, can I contest it in some way? So then the question is, how can we maintain that kind of transparency and so on? There's actually now new kinds of AI. For example, there's one that was just released at the largest conference in the world in research called NeurX, just this past week, called generative synthesis. And it actually is a kind of AI that allows you to promote more transparency in other kinds of AI, or explainability and so on. So there's actually technology now, coming out just now, which allows you to have more kind of transparency. So that's kind of like a technical solution. But for transparency, you also have to have it from a legislative or a regulatory side, like Veronica was indicating. And having policies in place. You know right now, there's over 84 frameworks and policies around the ethical guidelines, around bias and transparency, to actually principles that people should follow, and they're now moving to operationalization. For example, that's happening with the European Union and the guidelines in this area. It's also happening with an organization called IEEE. They have this program called P7000. It's a process model, meaning if you're technical and you're designing things, you better do it in a way that's ethical, and you're having transparency, but you're also trying to remove bias and so on. So there's a tremendous amount of movement, and it's actually a big part of the AI for Good Local Summit. It's a big theme every year to promote this, to provide some kind of forces and standardization around it, and to have a multi-stakeholder approach, because one entity cannot do it all.
When we're speaking about buying or asking a technology firm to provide me with an AI system for taxation, or if I'm a company and I'm asking a technology firm to provide me with an AI system to the daily management of my company, and something goes wrong with the AI system, something goes wrong with a brother from Sophia, as an example, who's helping me through the field, like what's happening right now in Japan. Who's liable for that?
So the question for liability is an open question. It's a debatable question that everybody, because it falls between various aspects. Is it consumer protection? Is it product liability? Is it criminal liability? Is it thought? Is it negligence? So to pinpoint it and say who bears liability is really an open question. So if I could open the question to the audience, in an instance where a driverless car has an accident, who do you think should be liable? Should it be no one? Should it be the car? Should it be the manufacturer? Or should it be the inventor, the developer who developed the algorithm? So by the raising of hands, who feels that nobody should bear the liability? I see a hand over there, some hands. So who feels that the manufacturer should bear the liability?
Yeah, so many hands raised.
More hands. Who feels that the developer that made the algorithm should bear the liability?
More and more.
So it's an open question and a debatable question. So what is more important for us is trying to find the solutions and how we should be able to address liability. And something that is very key is, what about if we have insurance coming? What about if you have a situation where when you buy the product, you have a liability, an insurance attached to that? Because even when the situation goes to court, it's an open question. The court will have to look through the facts to see what happens. Is it the manufacturer that will bear the liability? Under strict liability, it will first fall under the manufacturer. Recently, Volvo has stated that their driverless cars, they will bear the liability. That shows that they are well grounded or well confident in their system.
سعيد بالموضوع اللي هيتم عرضه على حضراتكم. هذا منتدى للشباب. الموضوع اللي هنتكلم فيه او اللي هيعرض على حضراتكم موضوع يخص الجيل الشاب في المقام الاول، يخص الاجيال الاخرى لانه
presently there are legal frameworks that are being developed by other nations. As you stated earlier and was shown in the video, countries like the United States, China, and the EU are already putting in place legislation